Hey everybody, how's it going? Stoutman coming right back at you, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a movie that I just checked out for the first time, actually. A movie that just came out this year, and a very spooky movie at that. A Quiet Place. This is the secret hit, I guess you could say, that came out. I think it was a little bit before the summer, may have been in the summer, but I think it was like April, May, something like that. When I heard all the hullabaloo about it online and, from other people, when it came out, I definitely wanted to go and see it, but I just didn't have the time, couldn't make the time, didn't really get around to seeing it, just didn't ever get around to seeing it. So, left theaters, didn't get a chance to see it, and then finally came out on DVD and Blu-ray and whatnot, and 4K. And I waited and waited and waited and waited and waited, and then finally, in October, it dropped down to about $12.99, and that is what I paid for this right here because I couldn't wait anymore. I'm sure that during Black Friday or something like that, it might drop even lower than that. I mean, I'm guessing it might even go as low as $8. But regardless of that, I am very glad that I decided to buy it now rather than to wait because, well, I always love watching the horror movies during the Halloween season, and that's what it is right now. So, very cool to be able to have this one now rather than a month from now. The second I got it, I plopped it in the Blu-ray drive, and I just started watching it and had such a blast. It is such a good movie. Like, holy cow. When people started talking about it, I was hearing from people both who are like really into horror movies and from those who are not really that big into movies or really don't know as much about movies in general. They were both telling me, both sides of those aisles were telling me that this is a movie you need to check out, that this is a very good movie, it's a great horror movie and you definitely need to see it. I was like, well, I appreciate I know it's totally terrible of me, but when somebody who I know doesn't necessarily, know that much about movies recommends something to me, I immediately think, maybe I won't like it that much. But then when somebody else says the same thing about the same movie, I'm from the other side of the aisle. Somebody who actually knows about movies says something nice about the movie. Even though it hypes me up a little bit more, even though it makes me a little bit more excited, I still feel like, damn, I really hope that it's as good as this person is saying, and that they just the people who don't know as much about movies over here who also recommended it to me just so happened to make a good recommendation. You know what I mean? It's terrible of me because it's assuming that people who don't necessarily didn't study film the way I did, who don't watch as many movies as I do, aren't as passionate about it as I am. It's assuming that they have no concept of what a good movie would be, you know what I mean? It assumes the worst about them, and that's not right. I shouldn't do that, but it's almost instinctual that I do. I don't know why, but I gotta stop that. Really gotta stop that because it's not fair to anybody, and especially myself, because that puts me off from watching movies that are probably pretty damn good. So yeah, this one was definitely everybody was saying it was good, and everybody was right. Holy crap, this is fantastic. In a lot of ways, I don't want to give any spoilers, but in a lot of ways, it reminds me of like an M. Night Shyamalan movie, earlier M. Night Shyamalan. And in other ways, it's very not like that, because it goes further, I think, than any M. Night Shyamalan movie ever would. I also got a sense of The Walking Dead in there. And that's not to say that I don't want to give the impression that there are zombies or whatever, but more just the general feel of a post-apocalyptic scenario, right? Where there are a bunch of people who are living a completely different life and a completely different lifestyle than what we know, and they're scrounging around for food and the parts that they need to repair things and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's more what I'm talking about when I talk about the Walking Dead feel. And the reason I talk about it like that is because The Walking Dead did a really good job of creating the feel of what it would look like possibly in like a real world post-apocalyptic scenario. Like, it wouldn't be necessarily what you see in some of the cheesier horror movies out there. It would be more, if we're being more realistic about it, it would be more mundane. They would show you some of the more mundane things that happen in the lives of these people. They would show you things like, you know, hunting for food, hunting for whatever you can find, and, you know, for the part that you need to repair this thing so that you can, or maybe like to repair like a motorcycle, say, so you can use it to do a bunch of other stuff, right? Like, that kind of thing was prevalent in The Walking Dead, and it's one of the reasons that I like The Walking Dead so much, because it's very much true to what probably a post-apocalyptic scenario would look like. And they do a lot of the same kind of stuff in this movie very well. I wouldn't say it's like the main focus of the film, but it's a pretty important plot point if you actually think about it. So I really appreciated that. I really liked that about this movie, and I really enjoyed just the story, the way it unfolds and everything. It's just so freaking phenomenal. Oh, and the way they play with sound in the movie is great. It's fantastic. And I kind of wanted to get the 4K. I may at some point eventually also get the 4K version of this, but again, I didn't want to wait anymore. I just didn't want to wait, so I went for the cheapest option, which was Blu-ray, $13. There's no way I'm going to get this on DVD. For damn sure, hell no am I going to get this on DVD. No way. You couldn't pay me to get the DVD. And I'll say this, it's definitely like there are some disturbing scenes, and it's a sad movie for sure in some parts, in some ways, but just the way they connect everything together is, I wouldn't say seamless, but it's pretty damn close to seamless. And it's so damn good. There are jump scares, but they don't necessarily rely on the jump scare. There are a lot of things that they show you, the audience, that then the people in the movie don't actually get to see or experience until like 5 minutes after you've already seen it. You know what's coming, and it builds that tension, and you're like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, no, 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 no. You know, that kind of thing. I love that in a horror movie, and they did that so well in this one. So very, very happy to have been able to finally watch this one. And everybody who did this movie just did a fantastic job. I gotta commend all of them, because just wonderful. Quite frankly, after seeing it, I wanted to see more. I want to know what happens next. I want to know what happened before it, you know, and the way that it ends almost allows for them to do a sequel. I don't think they will, but if they did, I wouldn't say no, because if there's potential for a sequel there, I will say there's definitely potential for a sequel for this movie. So if that happens, hell yeah. If you're ever wondering, you know, well, what's his stance on the sequel if they do a sequel? Unless they do something to totally screw it up, my stance is hell yes. Quiet Place, great movie. I recommend it to any and every horror fan out there, especially if you like the tension building kind of horror, because that's very much what this is. If you're more of a jump scares person, there are some in here, but it's not necessarily focused heavily on that. It's more of a tension building thing. So yeah, highly recommend for those of you who like that tension. Anyways, that will do it for me today. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you later. Peace.